Hi, I'm Roy. I'm an international wedding photographer and videographer, and I photograph more than 1,000 weddings. And here's what I've learned. When I started out as a wedding photographer, I was mainly focused on composition. I wasn't really focused on emotion of a shot. I was mainly focused on my camera settings and everything around the shot, but I wasn't really focusing on the wedding couple. But emotion is more important than the composition, I think. If I look back at my career, definitely the photos with emotion are so much more beautiful than the composition photos. There will never be a couple thanking me for a great composition, but there are couples that thank me for the emotional power of the photo. And never forget that the composition is more for you as a photographer and the emotion is more for the client, for the wedding couple. So try to really capture that emotion. Because when you start out as a photographer, you so much focus on the composition, like rules of thirds, head above the horizon, don't put somebody in front of a tree or a post so nothing grows out of someone's head, to name a few of the many rules. I started in the fashion photography, and in the fashion you got rules like make your fingers long so you don't get any claws, put your tongue in back of your mouth like this, so maybe you can still show them that cam like this. And your chin goes up, looks better on your jaw. But if you start doing all those things with wedding couples, it doesn't really work, because wedding couples are just normal people, want some beautiful photos of themselves, and they don't feel comfortable doing all those crazy pose things. So when you start posing with couples, don't forget that emotion is the most important, and the couples aren't professional models, and because they're not going to look at how beautiful that pose is, they're going to look at the general idea of the photo. Does their love come over in the photo? So I'm always focused on the emotion. So when I work with wedding couples, and I would instruct them with every detail, like make the fingers long, or do your chin a little bit different, your hands different, then they lose their attention. They get so caught up in the posing part and forget their emotion. And I started practicing these things in test shoots. So I just did some shoots with people I knew, or just couples I wanted photo shoots to test these things out. And I just started shooting, and I did so many shoots, it became some form of muscle memory that I don't really think about the posing, but mainly focus on the emotion. And the posing part is in me, but I do it a very subtle way. And also practice to work faster. By working faster, doing like 20-minute photo shoots, even with video, because I shoot hybrid a lot. It's 20-minute shoot, I get amazing shots, and I don't have an hour and a half shoot, because it generally doesn't work with couples. So I do very short photo shoots. So I actually stopped giving the couple a feeling of posing, but more creating an atmosphere during the photo shoot. And I will come back to that later, because the atmosphere is very important. It's not about the posing part, it's about creating a vibe, an atmosphere that's really beautiful during your photo shoots. So when I really started focusing on emotion instead of posing, you can see a big difference between my earlier work, my earlier photos, and my recent years as a photographer. In my early photos, you can see that a couple is just posing for a photo. Even though they kissing each other, close their eyes, it still feels posed. In my recent work, it really feels like you're like almost a voyeur, looking at them, making a photo, instead of they are posing for your camera. There's a big difference. It almost feels like I'm catching them in the act while they're snugging away in like snugging away somewhere, and that's the moment I capture. So there's a very different feeling to it. It's like I secretly make photos of them. One of the big changes I made as a photographer during the years I'm a photographer is looking through the camera. And that maybe doesn't sound strange, but most photographers don't look through the camera, most photographers look at the camera. So looking through the camera is something different than you might think. So a lot of photographers focus on the settings in the screen, looking at the settings while photographing. And when you focus on the settings, you're not focusing on your subject in front of your camera. So what I do when I have a camera, I don't look at the camera, I look through the camera. The mic goes away, I look through the camera. There's a big difference, because if I look through the camera, I'm looking what is in front of me. A lot of times I don't have my camera in front of my face like this. A lot of times I have my camera more under my chin. I have my finger on the trigger, I'm just scanning what's going on and start shooting already when even my camera isn't fully to my face, because you got face recognition, eye recognition, so it's easy nowadays. Used to be very difficult, but now it's very simple. So look through the camera at your couple and you will notice so much more difference in your photos, in your poses, in everything. If there's one tip I gave to a lot of photographers during workshop, even working with Canon, is looking through your camera. And if you shoot hybrid, you definitely have to look through your camera because you can't focus on the settings. Settings should be muscle memory, should just be in here. Practice until you just know it. You don't have to think about it. That's very important. Keep on practicing. You don't have to do weddings to practice. Just ask people to do a photo shoot and it will be fine. Well, posing is a subject that a lot of photographers ask about. Well, you already saw the video up to this point, so you know how I think about posing. And a lot of photographers just do the same. We all heard the, okay, hold your hands and walk towards me. Now whisper something funny in his or her ears. And sometimes it can work depending on the people you're photographing, but a lot of times it just looks really strange. It doesn't feel genuine, and that's the most important part. It has to feel real when somebody does it. So you could try it, but a lot of times it doesn't work. Here's what I do, and there's a very, very big difference. The problem with the photo shoot isn't the photo shoot itself. It's your mindset during the photo shoot. It's the mindset of the couple during the photo shoot. And now I'm going to give you a tip or tell you something that will, if you try it, completely change your photo shoot, and the outcome will be so much better. When I start a photo shoot, well, let's say when I go to the gym. If I go to the gym, I'm not instantly gonna grab the bench and put on like 150 kilograms and start bench pressing. No, I first warm up my muscles, I get used to it, get into the gym vibe and my mindset before I go in the heavy presses. I do light presses, I get into the, put on the right music, and then I'm ready to really go in heavy weights. It's the same with a photo shoot on a wedding. The wedding couple just came out of the crowd, the people celebrating, and there you are wanting a photo shoot with them. And suddenly there's silence, there is a big change in the vibe. So what do? I create like a warm up. I put the wedding couple across each other, I let them hold hands, put up some music, and just tell a inspirational story. I'm not going to tell you what the story is, but that story really catches their fantasy. Like really hits hard a lot of times. But that story really puts them in that vibe of the photo shoot. And every couple, every time it works because you're creating a setting, like a movie set almost, to shoot photos. And from that point on, I slowly start to shoot, ask them maybe put a hand differently, one hand just at a time, not a lot of stuff. I keep the emotion and you'll see real emotions, real tears, real feelings, and just start shooting slowly. And always put my music on. I keep my music on during my photo shoot, just like a little JBL speaker right here. So the warm-up maybe takes 5 minutes, but the photo shoot goes so much faster. Like in 15 minutes, I've shot everything I want, even photo, video, crisscross. It really works really well. Just try it out. Before you start your photo shoot, just get them into the vibe of the photo shoot. Tell a beautiful story that connects to them. So you have to really know your couple. That's very important. Many photographers struggle with light. I did. There's too much light. There's not enough light. It's too dark. It feels there is no control over your light. But there is a lot of control. But first you have to master the light settings. I actually made a separate video about that. I'll put it in the description below, about every setting for every light setting for a wedding. You have to master that. You have to know the settings. You know, oh, sunny, I'm going to do this. If it's dark, I have to know what to do then. Because if you don't know that and still are stressed about it, it becomes a problem. So know the settings, put it in your telephone, put it in your notes, so you know where the settings are, so you can shoot it. Because every wedding you can use the same settings. Because believe me, after 1,000 weddings, most settings are just the same. But if you don't have enough light, you of course can use a speed light, a flash, or you can use like tube lights. I use LED tubes, like during dinners, I put a LED tube on the table, so it lights up my wedding couple, or put them behind them for some backlight, just to create a certain vibe. Those LED tubes are very simple to use, they have a battery, and it really amps up your game. But what you also can do with lights, is what I do, I changed my time of photo shoot. I only shoot photo shoots in the evening. So every couple that does an introduction meeting thinks they're going to do a photo shoot during the day, and I always say, well, I like to do it in the evening if it's possible. Well, every couple all the time wants to do it in the evening. Because if I do it on the end of the day or like the evening, the couple knows me a little bit. They're not stressed anymore about the ceremony. The dress can be dirty because already dirty on the bottom side, so it doesn't matter anymore. The emotions can really run free because they drank some alcohol, and alcohol is the best for photo shoots when people are drunk or not drunk, or a little bit tipsy. It works so much better. And I've created the perfect light conditions for beautiful photos. And that's just a little, I don't want to say secret, but think about what you can do on a day. If you ask things on a wedding couple or the wedding planner, you can do way more than you think you could do with light conditions. They say a butterfly flapping its wings can set off a hurricane on the other side of the world. Well, it's only theory, but it does have some truth to it, and I believe that it could happen. If I really think every step through, the end result will be much better. So for instance, before the wedding day even starts, I already had a planning of what I'm going to do on the wedding day itself. I made a storyboard for my video. I've made some ideas about what kind of shots I'm going to take. It takes away a lot of stress on the wedding day itself, because as a creative person, trying to be creative on the wedding day itself is kind of a challenge, because everybody wants something from me. There's a lot of things going on. And so I've noticed when I plan everything before that, it's just way easier for me. But for instance, I want to shoot a wedding and I want to have a cinematic look on the wedding. So I think about what filter I'm going to use. I'm going to put on a mist filter so I get more like a misty vibe, like a real cinematic vibe. Because I already do it in the beginning, I don't have to do it on the end in the post-processing. Because I like to do stuff in my camera before it hits the post-processing. While I'm shooting, I always think about how my angles are going to be. It's a little bit composition, but also convenience for me. So for instance, if there's a emergency exit, those can be kind of a problem. But if I'm lowered myself down and shoot differently, the exit, you can put it behind someone's head and you don't see it. I could edit it out, or I just can put it behind someone's head and it's fixed. It's a very simple thing, and if you try it during the wedding day, you don't have to do a lot of post-processing. The same goes for cropping. When I'm shooting, I shoot only prime. I crop in the camera. I try not to crop in the post-processing. Sometimes I have to crop, but I want to have the perfect crop already in my camera. So in the end, I only have to put on my presets, adjust it, and my photos are great. In the beginning, I struggled a lot with editing because my images were inconsistent, especially because I use zoom lenses. I think zoom lenses are quite inconsistent. That's for all kinds of reasons I'm not going to tell you right now, but that's why I use prime lenses. And I realized that editing was the last step. So if I did better before that step, my last step would also be easier to do. So I started to do those steps better, but also start to learn color grading. And while I was color grading, I learned to be a better photographer also, because those two are intertwined with each other. My photography should be actually like a yummy dish, and my edit should be a complementary sauce to make it even better. So I want to have a great dish with a sauce that even makes it more yummy. That's how I look at photography. Great photo, even better with the sauce. So editing is the sauce. Then if you struggle with presets, because I know it's very difficult, I've created a bunch of presets that are very easy to use. They come with detailed video instructions on how to use them. And if you're not sure how to use them, you can always ask me and I'm glad to help you, because I want you to use my presets in the correct way. And by using my presets, you also learn a lot about color grading. So check out the link in the description below, because my presets are the best. I used to spend a lot of time editing my photos, and by now you probably get the idea that things are getting way faster than they used to be, because I used to spend a lot of time photographing, also spend a lot of time choosing my photos, editing. But when I became a better photographer, also my editing went quicker and quicker. Because I prepared myself better, so I know what the outcome of the photos would be. My style as a photographer was becoming way more clear. I had the same style always, so I exactly knew what to do even when I was editing my photos. So my presets were a big help in creating more faster workflows. And I started using Photo Mechanic. Photo Mechanic is a program, and maybe you heard of it. It's so much more faster than Lightroom or all other programs to choose your photos. Because as a photographer, you have a lot of photos and you have to choose them. And Photo Mechanic works in a different way, so you can be very fast in choosing your photos. And actually everything batch process related I do in Photo Mechanic. So when I'm done in Photo Mechanic, I'll go to Lightroom and edit my photos. I think my workflow has become like 5 to 6 times faster than it used to be when I was like years ago. I used to think that wedding couples booked me for my work, the work that I created. But I soon realized, well, actually not that soon. There was a point I realized that they wanted to book me, Roy, as a photographer. And my work was almost secondary. Of course, I've made a name for myself. I was on television. There was a lot of stuff going on, so they knew me. But they wanted me for me. And that's the same way I work with wedding couples. I want to like them. If I don't like them, I don't want to shoot the wedding. I want them to like me, and I want me to like them. So even on my website, the first photos you see will be photos of me with my son. Well, my wife isn't on it, but I have a wife. But it's very personal because I'm a very personal photographer. I don't like the distance between me and a wedding couple. I want to know them. I want to be friends with them. I want to really get involved in the family and the friends and everything. And I think you gotta realize that you as a person are very, very important as a wedding photographer. You are the most important asset for your company. A big tip I could give you with what I did is really think about my unique selling points, my USPs. And unique selling points are things that make you unique. So for instance, if you say, well, photography is my passion, that's not unique because I think every photographer has a passion for photography. So really think about things that are really where you really stand out as a photographer and use those things to sell yourself, to show yourself to the world. And we'll see that people really want you for you. And you always get the best clients that really fit your work because they like you as a person. Photography is quite tech related. It's a camera that's very technical, lenses, all the gear. It's endless discussions about what camera you should use. I'm saying you have to use prime lenses. The other photographer says you have to use zoom lenses. It's all an opinion. And I spent hours looking on YouTube videos about lenses and what to buy, thinking that a more expensive lens get me more clients, better photos, etc. But after shooting 1,000 weddings, let me tell you, it's not about the gear. It's not about the lens, it's not about the camera. What actually matters is storytelling. A 5,000 euro lens won't save a bad photo, but a great moment is priceless. And by the way, most couples watch the photos on the telephone, so they don't even see the quality of your camera lens. And I'm buying expensive lenses and I don't even see it. I recently made a video about a cheap 12mm APS-C lens I put on my Canon R5 Mark II to photograph a bride, just to show that every lens is usable for a great photo, great storytelling. It's not about the lens, it's about the photographer that uses the lens. With every lens you can create great photos. Every camera you can create great photos. Especially if you know that emotion is the most important, then the camera becomes secondary. And once you realize that, gear will be so much more different when you buy it than up to the point you thought that you need the best camera or lens. Because my skills aren't in the gear, the skills are in me. Therefore, if I have interns or assistants in my company, I always ask them to shoot without thinking. Just shoot and then the raw you comes out. I think that I shoot 95% of my weddings with a 50mm and 35mm, and that's it. And that's photo and video. At some point you'll make errors. We all do. We're humans, we make errors. It's fine. I've made many errors and I will make many errors. But the part of errors is that it's a learning process. Every error makes you a better photographer. If you look back at it and know what went wrong. You're human, you're creative, you try stuff out. Some things work, some things don't work. It's fine. By now I don't make very problematic errors, but when I was starting out I did some stupid things like shooting JPEG instead of RAW. I reset my camera and it was still on JPEG. I didn't know. I fixed the photos, the couple doesn't know. I'm not gonna tell which couple it was, but it was just dumb. You live, you learn, that's basically what it is. But by making those errors, you know how to fix them before you're making that same error the next time. And even my camera stops working sometimes at weddings. It happens in the 15 years I've shot weddings, it stopped and I just changed my camera because I have backup cameras, backup lenses, so I'm not afraid of that. It just happens. I can imagine you have a lot of questions. Maybe you're starting out as a wedding photographer, maybe you have to shoot your first wedding as a wedding photographer. Let me know in the comments and I will happily answer your questions so you know how to do it the next time.